The storm outside rolled against the glass like a restless tide, the wind pushing at the balcony doors as if it wanted to enter the room with them. Adrian Hale stood near the window, watching lightning streak across the sky, while the soft glow of the honeymoon suite spread behind him. The night should have felt warm, promising, filled with the kind of quiet joy he had imagined for months. But something in the room was wrong, and it pulsed through the air with every heartbeat. Liora sat on the edge of the king-size bed, her back straight, her gown pooled around her like she was afraid to wrinkle it. Her hands kept reaching for her phone, even when it wasn't buzzing. The screen would light up with nothing but the hotel's wallpaper, and still she checked again, as if expecting a message that refused to appear. Adrian watched her for a few seconds before walking over. "You okay?" he asked softly. He reached out to touch her shoulder, and her body flinched before she forced a smile that didn't touch her eyes. "I'm fine," she whispered, folding her hands tightly, pressing them together so hard her knuckles whitened. He noticed the tremor in her fingers. Liora rarely trembled. She was the kind of woman who made people believe she could walk through fire and not feel the heat. But tonight, she looked like someone cornered. Adrian sat beside her, leaving just enough space for her to breathe. "If something's bothering you, talk to me." Her eyes flickered toward the window, then toward the phone, then toward him. "It's nothing. I'm just tired." He knew that wasn't true. Before the wedding, she had laughed easily, leaned into him, kissed him with a warmth he had thought would heal all the empty spaces inside him. He had lost too much in the last few years. His father, his job, the version of himself who believed he deserved happiness. Loving Liora had been the first thing that made him feel alive again. But now, on the night that should have belonged only to them, she sat far away, even while sitting inches from him. Thunder cracked across the sky, and she jumped again. Adrian gently reached for her hands. She let him hold them but kept her head down, her breath thin and uneven. "You've barely looked at me all night," he murmured. "Did I do something?" Her throat bobbed as she swallowed. "No, you didn't." He waited, hoping she would continue, but silence stretched between them like a tightening wire. A sudden vibration rattled the nightstand. Liora's head shot up. Her phone had lit again, this time with a caller ID she clearly recognized. She didn't reach for it. She froze, breath held, as the screen pulsed with the name she refused to say. Adrian leaned forward slightly, catching the reflection on the glass table. He couldn't read the name, but he saw the way her face drained of color. "Who's calling you?" he asked quietly. "It's nothing," she said too quickly. He didn't press further. Not yet, but a seed of unease lodged itself in his chest, sharp and growing. The storm outside seemed to pound harder, the lights flickering for a moment. Liora stood abruptly. "I need some air," she whispered, walking toward the balcony doors, but stopping short, remembering the wind clawing at them. Adrian watched her shoulders rise and fall, each breath shallow. Something was coming for her. He could feel it, even if he didn't understand it. When the phone vibrated again, longer this time, her entire body stiffened. She didn't answer it. She didn't even look at him. She just whispered, so faintly he almost missed it. "He shouldn't be calling." Those 5 words chilled Adrian more than the storm outside. And they were only the beginning of the night that would lead straight into the man who shouldn't have called at all. The phone vibrated again, harder this time, as if the sound itself wanted to break through the room and force them to face whatever name glowed on the screen. Liora stood frozen near the balcony doors, her body angled away from the nightstand, her breath sharp and uneven. Adrian felt the unease from earlier coil into something heavier. He stepped toward the phone. "Liora," he said softly, "who keeps calling you?" She didn't move. She didn't blink. Only her fingers twitched at her sides. He reached the nightstand first. The moment he saw the caller ID, he stopped. One name. No last initial. No emoji. Just a name typed in a way that suggested it had always been enough. Elias. He glanced at Liora, expecting anger, maybe guilt. Instead, he saw terror, raw, unhidden, shaking through her like a cold current. "Who is he?" Adrian asked, his voice quiet, leveled by confusion more than suspicion. Liora shook her head, pressing both hands against her mouth as if holding back a truth that refused to stay buried. Tears welled before she could stop them. "Please, don't touch the phone," she whispered, the words breaking apart. Adrian took a step closer. "Talk to me. If he's someone from your past, I won't judge. But I need to know why you look like you've seen a ghost." She sank slowly onto the edge of the bed, trembling. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is," he urged. The phone buzzed again. Longer, louder. Liora let out a small, panicked cry, covering her ears. Adrian reached out to her gently. "Liora, breathe. Tell me." Her voice barely rose above a whisper. "I didn't think he'd find me. Not tonight. Not here." Adrian felt his heart tighten. "Who is he?" She stared at the floor, eyes glassy, arms wrapped around herself. "He's someone I tried to escape." Adrian knelt in front of her. "Escape from what?" For a moment she didn't answer. Then her shoulders collapsed inward, and the dam she'd held together since the wedding finally split open. "I was married before," she whispered. Adrian froze. A cold flash shot down his spine. "You... what?" "I didn't want to tell you like this," she cried, hands covering her face. "I thought it was over. I swear I thought I was free." He tried to swallow the shock, pressing against his throat. "You said you'd never been married. You said—" "I lied because I had to," she interrupted, shaking harder. "He wouldn't let me go. He followed me. He threatened me. I tried to run. I changed everything. I disappeared. I didn't think he would find me here." Adrian sat back slightly, the weight of her words sinking into him with a strange mixture of anger and fear. "Liora, are you telling me you're still married to him?" Her answer came out broken, shattered by remorse. "I never divorced him. I couldn't. He wouldn't let me." The storm outside cracked violently, making them both flinch. For a long moment, the world felt narrowed to the room, the phone, and the truth unraveling between them. Adrian slowly rose, trying to steady himself. "Liora, what does he want?" Her eyes lifted to his, filled with a horror that chilled the air. "He wants me back." The phone lit up again. The screen read, "Elias, calling." And far from the suite, the man tied to that name was already on his way. Adrian stared at the glowing phone screen long after it stopped ringing. The name had burrowed into the room like a shadow that refused to leave. Liora sat curled on the far side of the bed, hugging her knees, her breath still shaking in small, uneven bursts. He stepped toward her carefully, as if moving too quickly might break what little strength she had left. "You have to tell me everything," he said gently. "All of it." She wiped her face with trembling fingers. "I didn't want this to touch you. I thought I could finally start over." Adrian sat across from her, keeping his voice calm, even as his pulse hammered. "Who is he to you now? What does he want?" Liora stared at the floor, memories tightening her expression. "Elias doesn't love. He owns. And when he thinks something belongs to him," her voice cracked, "he never lets go." Adrian felt a cold wave run through him. "Did he hurt you?" She nodded once, barely. He controlled everything. Where I went, who I spoke to, what I wore. He said I was saved the day he chose me. When I tried to leave, he locked me in our apartment for weeks. I only got out when he passed out drunk. I took cash, a bag, and ran without looking back. Adrian clenched his fists. Why didn't you go to the police? Because he is the police, she whispered. Or close enough that it doesn't matter. His brothers, his cousins, his friends, all tied to the same circle. Everyone warned me not to report him. They said he'd find me long before anyone helped me. Adrian stepped closer. But you left. You built a new life. You found me. That should count for something. I changed my name, my job, everything. I thought marrying you would finally close that chapter. I truly believed he had forgotten me. She looked up with eyes full of guilt. But he didn't. The room felt tighter with each word she spoke. The storm outside beat against the windows like an impatient fist. Adrian walked to the balcony doors, trying to steady his thoughts, but the reflections staring back showed the worry etched across his face. He turned to her again. Does he know you're here? She hesitated. I don't know, but if he's calling, he's close. Adrian's stomach twisted. How close? Liora reached for the phone with shaking hands. She pulled up the recent calls list. Every call from Elias had a small location icon beside it, a feature she must have forgotten to disable. Her breath hitched. He's in the same city. Adrian leaned over her shoulder. Refresh it. She tapped the screen. His stomach dropped. The caller's location was less than 1 mile away. A knock echoed across the suite hallway, a soft, unexpected tap that made them both jump. Adrian moved first, motioning Liora behind him, his senses sharp and alert. He approached the door cautiously, palms sweating. Who is it? He called out. A polite male voice answered. Room service. They hadn't ordered anything. Adrian's heart hammered. We didn't request service. Oh, sorry, wrong suite, the voice replied, followed by fading footsteps. Adrian waited, listening. The corridor eventually grew silent again, but the tension in the walls remained. He locked the deadbolt and stepped back. That wasn't room service, Liora whispered. Adrian knew she was right. Something about the tone, the timing, the sudden disappearance, none of it felt harmless. He guided her to the corner of the room, away from the door. Listen to me. You're not alone anymore. If he comes here, if he tries anything, I'll protect you. Tears slid down her face. You don't understand what he's capable of. Adrian brushed a hand against her cheek. Then he's about to understand what I'm capable of. The phone buzzed again. Suddenly, the door slammed inward with a violent crash, the chain holding for only a second before ripping free from the frame. The door flew open and smashed the wall behind it. Elias stepped inside. He was taller than Adrian expected, his posture relaxed, but his eyes wild with possession. Rain clung to his dark hair, dripping down his jaw. He looked around the room with the calm of someone entering his own home. There you are, he said softly when he spotted Liora. You ran long enough. Adrian stepped between them. You're not touching her. Elias smiled with a strange amusement. You're brave. Stupid, but brave. He rushed at Adrian without warning. Adrian barely blocked the first hit. The impact sent him crashing into the nightstand, scattering glasses and bottles across the floor. Elias moved fast, grabbing Adrian by the collar and slamming him against the wall. Liora screamed, "Stop! Elias, stop!" Elias didn't even look at her. He thinks he can protect you? He can't even stand. Adrian swung blindly, connecting with Elias's jaw. The hit only enraged him. Elias grabbed a liquor bottle from the dresser and smashed it across Adrian's shoulder. Glass exploded across the carpet, glittering dangerously. Adrian cried out, but pushed forward, tackling Elias into the bed. The two men struggled violently, rolling across sheets and tangled pillows. Elias struck Adrian repeatedly, shouting through clenched teeth, "She's mine! Mine!" Liora grabbed a lamp, hands shaking, and swung it at Elias's back. The lamp hit with a heavy thud, but Elias only snarled and shoved Adrian aside. He turned toward Liora. That was the moment that snapped something inside Adrian. He surged up, tackling Elias from behind. They crashed onto the broken glass, scattered across the carpet. Elias let out a sharp growl, swinging wildly. Adrian grabbed a jagged piece of the shattered bottle. Elias lunged for Liora. Adrian drove the glass forward. The room froze. Elias staggered, staring down at the shard embedded in his side. His mouth opened as if to speak, but no sound came. He collapsed onto the carpet, blood spreading beneath him in a wide, dark pool. Liora screamed Adrian's name, dropping to her knees beside him. Adrian stared at the blood covering his hands. His chest heaved, his breath shaking, his mind racing through 1,000 impossible thoughts. Liora clasped his wrists. "Adrian, oh God, what do we do?" Outside the door, faint footsteps echoed. Someone approaching. Adrian looked at the body, then at Liora. This was no longer about stopping Elias. This was about surviving what came next. Adrian's hands wouldn't stop shaking. No matter how tightly he pressed them against his knees, the blood kept spreading in thin, dark streaks across his skin. Liora hovered beside him, her breath shallow, her eyes darting between the door and the lifeless body on the floor. "We have to call someone," she whispered. "We will," Adrian said, forcing the words out. "But we need to think first." Liora covered her mouth, pacing in small, frantic circles. "They'll arrest you. They'll see the glass. They'll say you stabbed him in anger." "He came here to hurt us," Adrian shot back. "This wasn't planned." "They won't believe that." Her voice cracked. "Not with my history. Not with the secret I kept. They'll say you killed him because of me." Footsteps echoed faintly in the hallway again. Adrian froze, listening. The steps stopped, then faded. He exhaled shakily. "If we call now, at least we control the story." Liora walked to the broken bottle pieces scattered across the carpet, staring at them with haunted eyes. "They'll never believe I didn't pull you into this. They'll think I tricked you into marrying me just to escape him." Adrian touched her arm gently. "You didn't trick me." She looked at him with fear so deep it almost silenced the room. "Then why does it feel like everything that happened tonight leads back to me?" He didn't answer. Not because he blamed her, but because the weight of the night had crushed the edges of every thought. She suddenly straightened. "We tell them he forced his way in. We tell them he attacked you. We tell them we tried to run." Adrian stared at her, realizing she had rehearsed this kind of fear for years. "Liora, are you sure?" "It's the only way," she whispered. "If we say anything else, they'll twist it." He nodded slowly. "Okay, then we stick together. No one contradicts anything." She wiped her face quickly, trying to erase the panic. "We need to move things. The bottle pieces, the lamp. Anything that makes it look deliberate. Throw it in the trash bin. Make it look like chaos." Adrian hesitated. "Won't that look worse?" "They won't know what order things happened in." Her voice steadied. "I've dealt with people like Elias's circle. They manipulate everything. We have to get ahead of it." For a long second, they stared at each other. Two people bound not by the vows from earlier, but by the blood drying between them. Adrian grabbed the room's phone with trembling fingers. "Are you ready?" Liora took a breath that shuddered through her entire body. "Call." He dialed the emergency number. When the operator answered, Adrian forced every word through a voice thick with adrenaline. "A man broke into our honeymoon suite. My wife's ex-husband. He attacked us. We defended ourselves. He's not moving." The operator instructed them to stay put. Officers were on their way. Adrian hung up. Liora reached for him, gripping his hands tightly. "Stay calm, no matter what they ask." Minutes later, flashing lights painted the hallway outside. The knock this time wasn't a threat. It was the beginning of something far more complicated. Adrian opened the door slowly as uniformed officers stepped inside. Behind them stood a young detective with sharp eyes, someone who would see more than they wanted her to. Detective Mara Fenton entered the suite with sharp, steady eyes that missed nothing. She studied the broken door, the blood on the carpet, and the way Adrian and Liora stood apart, as if fear had carved a thin line between them. "Tell me what happened," she said. Adrian repeated the story, but Mara's gaze never softened. She walked the room slowly, stopping at the shattered bottle. "Interesting choice of weapon," she murmured. Liora stepped forward, voice trembling. "He attacked us. Adrian saved my life." Mara looked at her closely. "You hid a marriage. You hid a man capable of violence. Now he's dead. That creates questions." Liora flinched. "I was trying to survive." Mara turned to Adrian. "Self-defense or rage? I'll find out." Two officers entered. "Detective, we're ready." Mara nodded. "You're both coming to the station. Separately." Adrian felt the lie tightening, and Mara was ready to pull. Adrian sat alone in the interrogation room, replaying every moment that led to Elias's death. Detective Mara's voice cut through the silence. "Your wife says she feared him, but fear can twist choices. Did you act to save her, or to end something else?" Adrian couldn't answer. Down the hall, Liora confessed in a shaking whisper. "I knew Elias would find me. I hoped Adrian would finally stop him." The officer paused, unsettled. Two stories, one body. When Adrian and Liora were led past each other, they didn't speak, only exchanged a look that admitted everything. Their marriage had begun in blood.